In this week's episode, we'll discuss the topic, how in-house tournaments keep students from quitting. Welcome to Black Belt Banter, the best podcast to help your martial arts school increase profit and generate substantial revenue. I'm your host, Jimmy Hong, and I'm joined by my co-host, our resident expert, Master Tony Chung. Today, we're joined by a true industry powerhouse, Sensei Solomon Brenner, the founder of Action Karate, a 30-year martial arts organization that has helped more than 50,000 families build confidence, focus, self-esteem, and grit. What began as a small neighborhood school built on heart and community has evolved into a multi-location movement of 36 Action Karate schools. Today, Sensei Solomon is on a mission to empower school owners who want to grow without losing their soul. He partners with leaders who care about legacy, connection, and long-term impact, providing the systems, mentorship, and leadership pipeline needed to thrive in a rapidly changing martial arts landscape. Welcome to the show, gentlemen, and our audience, fellow school owners and master instructors. I just want to start off by Master Tony, Sensei Solomon, all hung out in Philadelphia, and I was not part of that. I wasn't cool enough in that group. I just wanted our audience to let them know that. How was the awesome trip? I saw photos. I saw you guys just golfing and eating. Can you show me how much I missed, all that fun stuff that I missed?
Well, first of all, I think the audience, if you don't mind, and I think they can make their decide and maybe comment that you chose to not be there, even though all your best friends were there training together, and you chose your family over us.
Darn it.
You also went to DC and New York. It wasn't like you didn't do anything. So I don't know if that's right or wrong. I'm not the kind of person that judges another man, but I would like the audience to judge if you made the right decision or not. But I definitely missed you very much. We trained together a little bit. We went for cheesesteaks. I think they did the Rocky Steps, pizza, of course. We went to a bunch of our schools. But the one thing that they might not have noticed is I ran out of tissues and handkerchiefs from all the crying that I did, missing you, Mr. Hong.
I wanted the audience sympathize for my thing, but you're just telling the truth. I was invited by you and everybody, and I just couldn't make it because I was on a
So we should sympathize that you went to DC and New York with your family. And where did you stay in New York? I forget.
I stayed in this one-star hotel called Ritz-Carlton. It wasn't.
So yeah, my heart is breaking for you, sir. I think, you know what we should do? We should do a GoFundMe campaign.
Oh boy. Yes.
To try and help you out of that tough life you have.
No, I will say this, the Philly trip was incredible. I actually had to research a map because 36 locations and all the properties that you have, and just what a wonderful organization. But I was like most shocked. Obviously the curriculum was great. Instructors are stellar. Facilities are immaculate. I think they're just beautiful. But I have never seen Master Chan Lee. His wit was rivaled and even humbled at times with Master Solomon. Sensei Solomon is so fast and so witty. Chan Young was like, he couldn't keep up sometimes. I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. Because I've never seen someone juke as good as Master Chan Lee. This is great.
I felt like I was humbled the entire time by him. So I'm glad that you saw something different. It makes me feel proud.
You're funny, sir. Literally. Like,
Thank you.
You could literally you could do anything, first of all, but your empire, in my opinion, that you built was so inspiring, so great. We just thank you so much for allowing us to be there. It's just wonderful.
I ended up talking with Master Chan Lee after when he came back. We're catching up. I was telling him about our DC, New York. He was telling me about Philly. He was like motivated. He's like, oh my God, I got to open so many more schools now.
I hope he does. That would be wonderful. Yeah. And he already has such great schools. Opening more of those would be good for the world.
Yes. And speaking of schools, how do we keep all those schools that we have, the students' retention? And one of the retention method, Master Sensei Solomon is saying in-house tournaments. Is that one of your retention methods?
It is absolutely a retention method. It checks off a lot of boxes, right? So it's good for retention, it's good for marketing, and it's also a revenue generator. A lot of times we do events and it might be one of those things, right? But when you can do all three at the exact same time and improve your students' martial arts ability, it's fantastic. And if you think about some of the stuff that we all do, whether it's like, I don't know, Nerf night or laser tag night or sword night. We do that stuff also. But I always think like we're dressing, like why do we have to do that? You're not like on a baseball team and they're doing all these other they're not doing karate on the side of the baseball team, right? They practice and then they play baseball. And if you look at, we know that martial arts is a lifestyle, but most people they join for like a 2-day-a-week activity in the beginning, right? That's what they see it as. Maybe it'll help with confidence and discipline and focus and great, but it's an activity twice a week. And all they ever do is practice their activity. There's no real way to demonstrate how they're doing, figure out how they are versus other people. So for us, that is where the tournament comes in, is it checks off all those boxes and it gives them a reason to do it. And what we created was we have a tournament season, which is pretty much just, are you going to give me a score, Master Hung? I feel like you're going to hold that up. 7.9. Anyway, so we came up with
I have questions for you, but I don't want to interrupt you, so I'm writing it down.
No, you can interrupt anytime. I'm married. I'm used to being interrupted consistently.
It's obvious Sensei Solomon's wife does not listen to this podcast.
She doesn't listen to me at all. So if she knows I'm on here, there'll be no reason. I don't bring any value to the conversation. So why would she want to listen extra?
Not true at all. There's tons of value going on right now. And one of the questions that I have is, you have 36 schools. You could host an in-school tournament. What about school owners who have one, maybe two schools? Do you recommend doing an in-school tournament for those school owners as well?
Absolutely. So yes, we have all these schools. You can look at it both ways, right? So we have all these schools, which turns into hard to find a facility that fits everybody, all the extra mats that get dragged around. There's a lot that goes into it. You could do an inter-school tournament a lot of times in your location. If you have 2,000 or 3,000 square feet, you can have 2-3 rings, set it up so that everybody knows when to show up. They're not showing up the whole time. Or you can do it in a little facility. You can rent out a little elementary school gym. There's definitely benefits of it being smaller, bigger. It doesn't have it has a lot of advantages for some parts of it, but some parts it doesn't. And I think if you can get between 30 and 50 people competing, you have something significant. We always say we want around 33 to 50% of our people competing. Does that happen in all of our schools? Of course not. The people that are more advanced compete less. The people that they're newer, they want to kind of see what competition is all about. So anyway, we have a tournament season for us where most of the curriculum for that season is related to the tournament. They're doing the kata, they would do at the tournament. They're doing their combination sets, they would do at the tournament. Everything we talk about, we're talking about the tournament. The life skills and the mat chats are all about healthy competition. Like, of course, everybody should want to win. Why would you not want to be first place? Of course you want that. But if you're not, what's the proper reaction? And then the way that we do it is we relate it to home and school. So if we have a proper reaction, of course, we want to get an A on a test, right? So, but if you don't get an A, you can be mad, the teacher's wrong, it's not fair, just like they act at the tournament sometimes. Or you can say, hey, go to the teacher, what could I have done better? Or you look at your study system and say, all right, what could my study system been better? The same way that right now during tournament season, we're going to make sure we're going to do our best to make sure we have good practice, like a good practice rhythm. And at the end of the tournament, you got third place or no place, you could be mad, or you do what you either, I'm sure you've heard this before, you either win or you learn. There's really no losing, right? There's always the lesson in that. So everything during tournament season is related back, and the parents really love it because I think I'm not against participation trophies if it's called a participation trophy, but it can't be two people compete and one person has more points than the other person, but they get an equal trophy, because that's if you say, hey, listen, I'm really proud that you showed up today. You did your best and I'm giving you a trophy for your effort. I think there's nothing wrong with that at all, but it can't be everybody wins because not everybody won. But you can also, everybody can learn. Everybody can walk away with something learning. So I do think it doesn't matter, going back to the original question, I don't think it matters how many students you have. I think it matters what culture you want in your school. And if you want a culture of healthy competition, remember, we're not, and we make a big point of this, we have people that compete on tournament circuits and they sometimes want to turn our tournament into that. And we're like, no, that's not what this is. This is about learning what healthy competition is. This is about the right attitude. And we don't have, for the most part, bad attitudes because we're training the parents how to look at it. We're training the students how to look at it. We train the judges how to look at it and how to respond. So I think we sidestep a lot of the negative tournament stuff that somebody might go to. If you go to an open tournament, which has its place, but the average person can't live in that world.
I had a quick question because I know that, so just from the visit I had just a few weeks ago, I got to visit some schools that were scheduled, and then my Airbnb was literally across the street from one of your schools, because you cannot go to Philly or that area and not see an action karate school if you're in a nice, safe area. But the school that was literally across from our Airbnb, you had a world champion. This guy was legit as they come. I think he literally caught a robber that mugged some lady. It was like in the news. It was a big, huge thing. It was awesome. And then I visited some of your other schools, and you had grandparents training, and you had program director, master females that were like literally in their 60s, it seemed, and everything in between. One location was run by a 28-year-old stud. This guy was sharp. He was eloquent, but they all had the same mat chat. The curriculum was uniform, but I will be honest with you, the talent level of some people are young, like legit. That guy looked like he could fight in the UFC. That one guy that was in the Airbnb, across from the Airbnb. And
Yeah,
the other one you have.
he is a world champion kickboxer.
Oh yeah.
he
And then,
is.
so what kind of competition divisions do you have to satisfy? I've never seen such an array. Everybody was so focused on one message, one curriculum, but you literally had world champion people, and then you have normal people, you have grandparents. That was my huge takeaway. I was like, whoa, this action karate organization is literally for everyone. Everyone can do it. But your tournament must have all kinds of levels of competition, realistically.
It does have Mr. Stefan, who's a gentleman that you met from South Africa. We don't really have a division for
Okay.
him. So the answer would be no. That
you want to jump in class? And I was like, maybe. I was like, sir. And he goes, no, you could take class tomorrow. I was like, yes, sir. I will try to swing by. And he's very
he's amazing. So
too, but yeah,
and there's certainly I always visualize everything as a bell curve. So certainly on the extremes on both sides, we don't. Our tournament is meant for the average student who trains twice a week. We do have like what we call, I don't know, we call it the green ring, but it's like the kids that train a little bit more. They're like on the demo team. They take private lessons where they can do gymnastics type moves. They do a lot of weapons. So for them, there's a separate division. And if you want to compete at a higher level, it's all music, and they're releasing their weapons, they're catching their weapons, they're doing flips, they're doing all kinds of cool stuff. They're doing tricks. I'm saying gymnastics. I guess in martial arts, it's tricks. But for the most part, it is for the regular student who trains twice or maybe 3 days a week. And the other thing that we do, which is pretty unique, is it's not open to what you can't, in the majority of the divisions, you can't just do whatever you feel like it. You do whatever we taught you during tournament season. So if you're like whatever belt you are, you learn a specific kata, everybody does the exact kata, which makes it much more standardized, that everybody kind of knows what they're looking at. The judges all know what it should be looking like. You can tell if there's a mistake, because all the judges are the instructors, so they're teaching it in their school for 3 months. So they all know it. So everything is very standardized. Only in that one division can you do whatever you feel like it, like in the fancier division. But for the most part, everything is very standardized. And it's also really great for the parents, because they kind of begin to learn what they're looking at. Because in the past, one kid would do one kata, but then some other kid would take private lessons, do way fancier kata. Another parent would think that was somehow a ripoff. And that wasn't, but everybody's got to do the exact same thing. And then it's just the quality of how you're doing it. And the software divides up the divisions based on age and belt rank in a pretty great way. But as far as skill set, if you're better than somebody, then you deserve to win. But there is no super champ division.
And speaking of software, I got to see the software. I guess you've tried other things in the past. You actually built your own tournament software.
We did, because all the other software was fine, but most of it's built for like bigger tournaments that do a lot of robust things. We wanted ours to be parent focused, student focused, to make their life the easiest. Like even registering, like some of the other software, like it does all this like back end stuff that's cool, but like again, for our level of tournament, when our tournament like happens, it's over. Like the next day we're done with it. There is no, oh, how many points did you get at the last tournament for the yearly rankings? Like none of that exists for us. Ours is all about healthy competition the day of. So if it happens on a Saturday, it's Sunday, the tournament's gone. And then we're done with it for another 6 months.
And sorry to interrupt,
So anyway,
but like you say bigger tournaments, but if you could give us an idea, how many tournaments does Action Karate host a year? And then approximately how many competitors and how many rings? you all have?
I think it's 19 rings.
Big. That's big to me. That's like
So
huge.
all 36 participate then.
All 36 schools are there. We do it twice a year, and we usually have 11 to 1,400 competitors.
That's gigantic.
But here's the part that matters. Here's the part that matters. We get done those competitors. We start at 8:30 a.m. and we're like out of the building, swept up, done by 3 or 3:30.
So you do this in one
And
day, sir?
It's all
Like
one
8:30
day,
in the
8:30
afternoon?
to 3:30 in the afternoon. Yes, sir. We're
Oh
done.
my gosh.
Everything. So
Wow.
the software helps manage. We don't have. I've been to tournaments when I was a kid where I get there at 9 a.m. and I'm competing at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. This is, we tell them a week before, your ring is the green ring or the blue ring or the purple ring or the brown ring or whatever, and you compete at 9:30. And please get there 15 minutes early so you can like find where you're going. And at 9:30 exactly, your ring starts. You're done in
So
30 minutes.
the parents come in at right before they don't have to all come in the morning at 8 when it starts then. They could come in.
No. They come in at their assigned time.
Oh, that's so much better.
They can come and stay late. We also say, hey, there's the demo team ring is fun and exciting to watch if you like that. So if you want to spend the whole day, we have bleachers and stuff. It's at like a college campus. So they can stay and watch and hang out. But for the most part, they have other stuff to do. And some of them are driving over an hour to get there.
Yes. Amazing that you're so organized. I go to tournaments all the time, and Korean tournaments are notorious for being like so long. Because
No, we have a 15-minute judges meeting in the morning. All the judges also register on our website, and they register based on what they're qualified to do. So they might just check first-time judging, or they check off, I could be a head judge of a ring if they've done that before, or somewhere in the middle. So they check that off. And then somebody puts them in a ring. So they get an email the week before, you're in this ring at this time. So they know where to be. Each ring has almost like a captain. And then one of the things, I'm going to call it this name because I can't think of another good name for it. But we also have pit bosses they're in charge of 6 rings. So they just walk back and forth in front of the 6 rings to make sure the parents look happy, people aren't confused. Like a judge didn't disappear and go to the bathroom. Now nothing's happening. They would just sit down and start judging. That doesn't really happen. But the idea is that they're there to improve anything they can, but that the software helps us figure out where all the judges go, where everybody goes. It allows us to email. Our software is definitely not like any, I want to use the word complicated, but that's not probably a fair word either. But the software is not, it is meant to make the parents' lives easier and meant to make our judges' lives easier. And even there's also pretty smart marketing on there. There's a countdown clock on it the whole time of when we have early bird registration, and when that ends, then that doesn't exist anymore. And then there's testimonials on there. The student automatically gets a t-shirt. So we talked before about retention and marketing. It's hard to not, we have all those sharks on the cars. I think you guys saw that. We put sharks on their water bottles. But if so let's say you guys, you have all this stuff on you, including you're wearing an Action Karate t-shirt all the time because you have a whole bunch of them, not just from class. You got one from the tournament, you got one from this, you got one from that, whatever. And then people always say to you, how's karate going? How's karate going? How's karate going? It's hard to quit that when that becomes part of your identity. So the tournament, you go to Nerf night. Yeah, it might be fun, but it doesn't become part of your identity. When you go to the tournament, you get a t-shirt. You're there during the day. You get your handset. People ask you about it. We encourage you to go to lunch afterwards and celebrate. It becomes part of your identity, which builds retention. Besides the fact that most of marketing costs us money, this is marketing that makes us money. Oh, that's the other thing about the marketing. Everybody earns a medal for participating, not everybody wins. And then I think that's pretty important for us. And we explain to the parents, your child did their best. They practiced all these months. They put in extra effort. Everybody wins a medal. And it's a different color medal, gold, silver, bronze. The first third win gold, second silver, next one's bronze. And most of them take that to show and tell. So that's a huge marketing thing for us. And they're all walking around their schools with their medals. And they're nice medals. Of course, they're our logo. And then everybody competes in 2 divisions for the most part. The second division, the top 3 people get trophies. There could be 8 people, there could be 12 people, 18 people in a ring. 3 get a trophy. And we talk to the parents about healthy competition. Not everybody wins in life. That's the way it goes. Figure out how to win. If you don't like it, figure out how to win. So they get the benefit of everybody gets the medal. So everybody walks out proud with something. But the top 3 people in each division also get a trophy.
36 locations, not 36 students, 36 schools. Most school owners spend their entire career trying to get one location to run without them. Sensei Solomon Brenner built Action Karate to 36, serving more than 50,000 families. And at the ASA Summit, he's breaking down exactly how he did it. The hiring pipeline that made expansion possible, the systems that kept quality from slipping, the decisions he make again, and the ones that almost cost him everything. This isn't theory from someone who's read about it. This is the actual playbook from the man who did it 36 times. He's also answering questions live from ASA Summit attendees, including the one every growing owner runs into. How do you grow without watering down what made your school special in the first place? 36 locations, one standard. Solomon is showing you how to scale without losing your brand. And here are the details. The ASA Summit, October 1st through 3rd, Planet Hollywood, Las Vegas. And after more than 20 years of running ASA, this is our final Las Vegas event. There won't be another one. Rooms sell out, seats sell out, and this one doesn't come back. If you're serious about growing past wherever you're stuck right now, be in that room. The registration link is below in the show notes. Click it before the seats are gone. The ASA Summit, Las Vegas, one last time.
And my mind
That
is
helps
just
with
blown away
retention.
because I was just thinking about it as you're talking. And I think to you, it seems not that big, but I don't know if you have 36 schools with 7,500, 12,000, I don't know, 15,000 students, however many students you have, doing an event with 1,400 competitors. It's like a cakewalk, right? You have 36 locations. So 19 rings sounds like a walk in the park. But most school owners that host a tournament, they will struggle to get 150 to 300 competitors, and their own school only has 60 to 150 students. So they're,
Well, I would say if they're running a tournament, they should run it just for I would do it one of two ways. They're either just for my own students so I control their experience. I don't know if you've ever heard this thought process, but a customer service department is only a tax on bad customer experience. I'll say it again. A customer service department is only a tax on bad customer experience. So I don't want my students to ever have a bad experience. So I can't allow like some judges from other schools that are like a little wacky. I need to make sure that like they have a just wonderful experience. So if it was me, if I had 100 students, I would think if I can get 30, 40, 50 students in the room, I could rent out a little space or maybe do it in my karate school with 2 rings. And that's what I would do. And that way I was controlling their experience the whole time and not allowing like some ridiculousness.
yes, sir.
And then there's also, when you say they're having trouble getting people in there, I would have them either take some classes or we'd give it away with our software, like all of the marketing, like what they're supposed to say during class, every match at it, everything is about it, right? Every class, it would be like, oh, Master Hung, you going to the tournament, sir? And if you say yes, I'm like, awesome. And then I would help you practice. If you said no, I'd be like, why not? You're such a good student. You're so wonderful. Why aren't you going? Now, the only way I would not say that last part is if you went to 2 tournaments, your mom or dad yelled at me every single time that like somehow you were ripped off. And I tried to explain, maybe you were ripped off. I don't know, but like the only way we handle it, I'm not sure. But like I knew like your family wasn't like a competition level family. Like it just wasn't in their DNA to learn from it. They were just always mad. Then I would not bring it up again. Like I'd think, oh, Matt Chung, you going? Oh, you're not going? Oh man, sorry to hear that. See you in class. But other than that, we encourage everybody to go. So I think having the machine behind it, you talked earlier about the 19 rings. Again, whether you have 2 rings or 19, it doesn't matter. It's training the judges beforehand of how to act. And they're in charge of their whole ring. So if they notice a parent is upset about something, their job is to walk over to that parent and be like, oh man, your son did really great. I just want to say thank you for showing up. And then if the parent wants to say something, they could say something. Here's another tip for people that run tournaments. We never say to a kid like, so let's say you guys are judging in a ring, one of your favorite students walk by. So you're like, hey, great job. Instead of saying, how did you do? We just say the words, did you have fun? If you say, how did you do? And the kid got 3rd or nothing and feels bad. I'm like, if you say, oh, did you have fun? Everybody can say they had fun. And if they did get a place that they were proud of, whether no matter what it was, they're going to tell you. They're going to be like, oh, Master Chung, I got 3rd place. I'm so happy. Or I got 1st place. So we really control every part of that experience the best that we can.
In Southern California, the regional, local, state tournament circuit for Taekwondo is it's very aggressive. You only need 5 to 10% of your student base should go, and that's if you practice separately from your classes, because it's full contact. It's all about trying to make it to state or nationals or something like that, or local, right? And these are for the families that are just instilled in competition mentality, where they're just trying to win, and they don't mind if they lose, they're going to come back winning. So it's for that 5 to 10%. Your tournament is for the 90% of the student base, is what I'm gathering. You want the
Yes, sir.
90%. You want to create an environment where it's fun and healthy and competitive for that 90% of the students, so that they have a great experience with an in-house tournament, so that they coming looking forward to it tournament after tournament. And that's the retention part. Is that what I'm getting? Because the 10%,
Yeah,
why?
that's how
why?
it always was back in the day. It's just as sport has found the UFC and the Olympics with some styles, it has become this elitist idea that unless you're the top 10%, you have no business going to a tournament. But I think what Master Solomon, Sensei Solomon is doing is how it always was before it changed. And then I see all the chats, like in all of the comments, people are always upset. The officiating, the scoring, the electronic this, the brackets that, like it's just a lot of politics. So as
There
somebody,
are so many parents that
when I run small, like I have 150 to 200 competitors, we don't care who wins. We want the best person to win. Do we make mistakes? Sure. But I have been to tournaments. You legitimately see weird stuff happen, right? It's like, oh, this is not good. And it's not a family environment. They have security because they need it. They have customer service and grievance because they need it, because they know there's going to be issues. And just hearing Sensei Solomon, it lets me know that I'm on the right track, just trying to get the insight, what he had said about not only his tournament software, but the scripts that go on with getting people to register, the countdown, like it's a whole system. It's not just, how do you get to 36 schools? How do you get to 1,400 competitors? There must be a certain methodology. And I was able to witness some of that because his team, although very different, they all were of the same thread. They all had a very clear message in how they taught, how they did their mat chat, their announcements. And I guess that is something that we'd like to hear a little more about, Master. How the tournament prep for your team, do you have meetings for this to prepare for the events?
Absolutely. We have 4 meetings a week, 52 weeks a year. So during tournament prep, that becomes part of the meeting. We talk about retention generally. We talk about tuition. We talk about enrollments. We talk about marketing. We talk about curriculum. We train together. But during tournament season, of course, a piece of it is, all right, team, here's the 2 emails need to go out, put them in the software. Here's the 2 text messages, put them in. Here's the Facebook post, go set it up. And they just cut and paste it in for the most part. So we're constantly, they get everything that they need. And then we also ask our team, hey, did you do it? Whatever school, we probably 4 weeks in advance, we start putting out a spreadsheet of each school's, how many people they have. And let's say one has 30 and one has 4. We'll say the 31, hey, how come you have so many? And can you share with the team what you're doing? And usually most times it's, I just ask everybody individually, are you coming? They'll stand by the front door like, when's your next class? Are you coming to the tournament? When's your next class? Are you coming to the tournament?
That's way
so
nicer. Our dads taught us to be like, 4, boy, why do you have 4? Yeah, obviously praise in public. I love that. And 4 meetings a week. That gives them the guidance that they need. I guess that's a big difference maker.
One of the things that students who join martial arts is that they see all this action in movies and television, right? So they're thinking, hey, I do want to compete. But if you're not in a controlled environment and you go to outside tournaments and you're getting your butt kicked, it's not a pleasant experience. Not most kids can't handle that type of impact and contact, right?
Correct.
So this is ideally for that 90% because you still want to provide that fun type of competition of why they join. And having a controlled environment like that is for that 90% of kids who are not able to handle that kind of compact and full contact sparring. But they still want the excitement of what they saw in the movies, why they originally joined, why their favorite TV shows, stuff like that. So this really satisfies that aspect of their students' training, is this in-house competition. Is that?
You were talking about the feeling. Yes, sir. You were talking about the feeling they get. We have our head judges compete for which ring is the most exciting. Parents give them a big hand. You guys got to be cheering. That ring over there is so much louder than us. Let's hear the energy. I did just think of a marketing idea. The next time I'm going to try and trick Master Chung to come at around our tournament time. And then we're going to have a special ring where it's the same head referee as in Cobra Kai.
Sure. let's do it.
I'll be like, guys, this is like, exactly. This is legit. Yeah, we'll do a team competition. Yeah, exactly.
It's awesome. That's awesome. Is it mandatory do you mandatory make the kids and the parents, or is it all voluntary? If they don't want to come, they don't have to.
If they don't want to compete, they don't have to compete. I think, most of them compete when they're like at a beginner level, because they're kind of still they're easily influenced as far as like they're not really sure what to expect. And I think it's good for them to learn what it is. And then some of them, it's not their thing, which is also fine. But for the people that want it, again, I'd rather do that than, I don't know if we even still does sleepovers, but most of the other events that are really like us trying to put a Band-Aid on a really not a great karate school because we're trying to do dodgeball night instead. When we're a martial arts school, but we're somehow doing dodgeball night. And we do something similar. We have a crazy hair day or whatever. So I think there's some parts of that can be good for your culture. But at the end of the day, if they're martial artists, and you don't have to compete on the same type of events that you would think of in a traditional school, you could compete on whatever it is you want it to be. You could do the most amount of kicks in 30 seconds. That could be the competition. And they have to be at a certain height. You come up with some qualifications of what that means. Everybody's doing roundhouse kicks and you have to hit the target every time. And whoever does the most, that's the winner. It doesn't have to be like sparring in forms, like which I think most people think of. It can be. I think forms are like a super easy way to get people to do things. You can come up with other jump kicks, who does it the highest from their base or whatever, based on their height. There's lots of things. We do combination sets, so they do stuff on pads because we want them to work a lot on hitting pads hard. And they have to wear their gloves and their feet gear, and they hit as hard as they can. Like maybe a 6-move combination: shuffle up, front leg roundhouse, jab, cross hook, uppercut, back leg roundhouse. Maybe that would be the combination. Every kid does it, and they get to do it 3 times. And then the more advanced kids do it on both sides, and then they have a form that they all do. But it's stuff that we're working on anyway in class, and we want them to be good at. And then it looks really cool. The parents are like, pop, pop. Kids, they've been practicing it for, 90 days, the same combination. They look awesome doing it. Even the kids that are not as athletic still look really good doing the combination. So at the end of tournament season, like the tournament cycle, the other benefit is sometimes we look at our gross revenue or active students. I do think that's a kind of a reflection of how you're doing. But also when somebody comes and watches your classes that are not you, are you proud of your students? Are you thinking like, man, these guys are great? Or are you thinking, oh, I hope Master Chung isn't making fun of me when he leaves the building. Oh, his students are terrible. Yeah, they have all these schools. But so we want to, our product, I always look at it like if you bought a car and the wheels falling off, you wouldn't care that they had really good coffee in the lobby. The coffee in the lobby is nice, but you want a quality car.
Yep.
So our martial arts have got to be quality. And I know the tournament helps give them a reason to practice, right? It gives them an additional reason to practice. And the more they practice, the more it's their identity, the better retention. And of course, our numbers grow from that. That does matter naturally.
As far, I heard you say like the competitors receive like a ring number and a match time. So what is the registration deadline, like cutoff out from the tournament? And then what is like, do you have holding there, or do you preset the groups? How do you?
Oh, the software presets all the groups and prints it all on our judging scores. They get a list of, here's your 10 competitors for the white belts that are 7 years old. Here's your 10 people. And then they're listed, and then it says exactly what they're judging on. So judge 1 is, I don't know how everybody else does it, but for us, we do it. Judge 1, I'm making this up, but it's usually 2 things, like stances and power breathing. And judge 3 is snap and height of kick or something. And then judge 2, which is the head judge, they're judging on overall everything. They're usually the more experienced. They'd be like one of you guys. You can judge the whole thing. So that way, if we have newer judges, they're only looking at 2 things, like snap and stances. That's all they're allowed to look at. And then the third judge.
I've never heard of that before. That's a genius. That's great.
And then the middle judge is overall. And the 2 on the end, they only can judge between 1 and 3. And it's only 1, 2, or 3, no half points. And the judge in the middle does, I think it's 1 to 5. And then it's added up, and your number is your number. It is what it is. I don't know. I feel like you asked me a different question. I just made up whatever I just said.
I was also asking about like how the divisions are made. If there's 8 competitors or 12, is that selected before the tournament?
2 weeks before. So the deadline is 2 weeks in advance. And then the software does its magic. And then we start sending out emails, and every email that they get 10 days left to the tournament. And then it's like a tip for the tournament, like some way to practice and a way that they're supposed to act. And then also the ring assignment. So we do color ring. So it's purple at 10:15.
I see.
And we constantly send them reminders. And the reason we constantly do it is to remind them of how to honor their martial arts is what we call it, which is like a tip on how to act the right way at the tournament for your child to get the most out of it. Because as you guys know, if one of your children loses a game and you're like, that judge was terrible, they stink, they must be blind, they're going to have a bad experience. But if you're like, hey man, what'd you learn from it? Yeah, maybe the judge didn't make sense, but that's life. Sometimes things don't go your way. How do you think we can get better? Now the kid's going to be like getting more out of that. So it's all the emails they get are like functionally where they need to be and what time, but it also gives them that materials and little things like, oh, if you want to pay in advance, they already paid for the tournament, but there's a charge at the door. So if you want to pay for that in advance, here's a link to do that or something.
Is there
try and get that. There's no line.
Is there a perfect size division that you have, or you could have some that have 16, or how do you all?
We try to keep everything under 18. So when we set the software up, the software allows you to choose. So if you it's not about what the perfect size division is. It's what for us, it's again, the parent experience. So for the little 3, 4, 5, and 6-year-olds, they only have a little bit of an attention span to be sitting there. So if you're the parent, you're like, come on, sit down, put your uniform back on. Let me tie your belt again. That's a lot of hassle for the parents. So for them, we might do 8 or 10 because we want them to be able to do their thing and get out of the building. To where the older kids, they can sit there a little bit longer. They can have a little hardier competition. So it's all about making sure that there's a solid experience for the parents, not necessarily the way that we want it, but what's best for them.
I'll be honest with you, sir. A division of 8 or 10 and then up to 18, 16, that is literally as big as a lot of national level tournament divisions. That is huge. Maybe your students don't know this, but from my perspective, as somebody that goes to karate tournaments and to taekwondo tournaments and to jiu-jitsu tournaments, and I did so for macho as well, so I did so as a spokesman. I'm telling you, sir, your tournament, first of all, 1,400 competitors, 1,100 competitors, that's a huge tournament to be done in one day, to have multiple divisions, to have that much of a competition field and to respect their timing. What a great value you're creating for your students and your parents, because that is legit. If my kid, my kids have been to nationals, right? If they went to an action karate tournament, because they've been to nationals and had 4 people in their division. I've taken students and they have nobody in their division. For you to have 10.
But we don't allow that. That would be what kind of competition that is?
I know, sir, but
they're
honestly,
not set
that's how it
divisions.
is
The
at
software,
nationals.
like we set the parameters for the software, and then the software fills everybody in. And if there's one person, they'll change it a little bit. You know, I mean, AI is such an incredibly crazy
Yes,
thing
sir.
that we have now.
People don't
It'll
do
shove
that,
in
though.
it'll shove in. So let's say it's like wipeouts 5 to 7 or 5. Let's say it's wipeout 5-year-olds, and it realizes that there's only one person in that division. It'll make it like 5 and 6-year-olds, or there's a 6-year-old division with 12. It'll just divide it like 6 and 6. You know what I mean? So that everybody has a little. And 5 and 6-year-olds are
I'm just going to tell you,
idea.
and I'm not trying to poo-poo taekwondo, but taekwondo, because it's an Olympic sport, they have all of these different weight divisions, age divisions, gender divisions. And sometimes when they only have 1,000, 3,000 competitors with hundreds of divisions, sometimes I think the average national championship medal for you have ATU, AAU, and USAT. I would think that because of the hundreds and thousands of divisions across all of those circuits, I think the average competition group is probably less than 6.
Well, they're probably trying to fulfill a different need than we are. We're trying to have the parents have a good experience and build retention in our school.
Person, and you're listening to this, that level of competition, it is a respectable medal. If you're in a group of 10 or 16 and you get first, second, or third, totally legit. I'm just saying, I think that, man, I would dream to do that for my students. How lucky are your students? That's incredible.
But that's the point of this podcast, is why
I mean,
the value, the in-house tournament that you need to run is for the 90%, 95% of your student base, and not the 5% who has the athletic build to go ahead and compete on a local, regional, state level, but it's for the 95. Why focus all that? Because I know school owners who focus so much time and effort, extra training, prepping these 5% of their student base to compete for what? So that couple years down the line, they quit because they didn't have a great experience on an outside tournament. Why not focus your effort on the 95% of your school where you're creating a positive, lasting impact, where you're teaching these kids who wanted to compete at some sort of level, but never had the athleticism to, and have them have a fun environment where they're competing within a structured environment that you control. That is the point of this podcast. Isn't that right, Sensei Brenner?
Yeah, with that. I don't know if it's the point of the podcast, but I would say it's a point of our conversation right now. I feel like podcast is like a bigger thing. You guys do a wonderful job.
The podcast episode.
The podcast episode. I got you. I was only teasing.
It was Black Belt Banter, but
I'm not mad. I'm not mad that you didn't show up and hang out with us. Don't get me wrong. So anyway, yeah, of course. And we've had and have students that competed on the national level, but that's like different. They usually wind up with like separate coaches. That's different. This is meant to learn healthy comp, just like Little League, just like any other activity they do. It gives them a reason to practice, a reason to show off their medals, a reason to be more confident, and a reason to do public. They come up and do their presentation, like in the beginning, judges, my name is, all that. We teach the parents, like I'm sure you guys do the same thing. The number one fear in America is public speaking. Number two is death. And I always explain to the parents that people would rather die than actually do the eulogy. And if your child goes to the tournament, all they get out of it is they stood there in front of these judges and presented themselves. The advantage they have in their classroom and eventually maybe the boardroom is so significant because they can stand there and speak. And I remember in college, I took a public speaking class and I thought it was like so awesome because nobody in my groups ever wanted to actually be the speaker. They'd be like, I'll do the preparation, I'll write it all up. And I didn't want to do any of that. And I was like, oh, if you just hand me a script, I'll just stand in front of the class and say what you want me to say. And they were like, oh, and they thought I was like so awesome. They were like, you don't mind standing there? And I was like, in front of everybody? And I was like, no. And it's obviously because of the martial arts, right? Because I was a martial artist for so long, just like you two, you would stand up in front of a room of 1,000 people. You don't care. Like, you're going to try, you're going to give your best. Not that you don't care, but you'd be willing to do it, is what I'm saying. So I know that was an advantage in my life. And every kid who gets that advantage, it's a significant advantage.
Yes.
So that's part of what we talk about. It looks like you had more notes there, Mr. Hung. I feel like we didn't get to all your notes.
Yeah, because I didn't want to interrupt you too. Another question I have is, how does the tournament, does it connect in some way? Does it feed into your testing, your upgrades, your other programs, or is it completely separate?
Completely separate. Yeah, it has nothing to do with anything. It's just like tournament season, 3 months, it's pretty much the curriculum we would normally do anyway, but we do it like tournament style. Right. So like instead of like we snap the kicks on the pads, but this pretty much the same combination becomes the kata where they're extending and locking and trying to snap it out and hold it. So it becomes like, all right, now we're doing it like this flavor. Now we're going to do it in this flavor, but there's no connection. It does feed into their stripes and belts because at the end of that cycle, everybody's also graduating to their next belt if they're ready. So that becomes the curriculum. But everything should be meshed together. It shouldn't be like all compartmentalized, like, oh, tournament competitors do this, but our curriculum is this. Why would it be that? It's martial arts or martial arts. At the end of the day, it's like self-defense, kicks, punches. So, yeah.
And from my visit, and it's a glimpse, but it seemed like Master Brenner's organization, Sensei Brenner, has no contracts, no upgrades, no testing fees. They just focus on service. They focus on delivering a great product. Their students are solid. Their people are winners. They're very nice people. They're the kind of people I would want my kids to marry or I would want to be neighbors with, right? And Sensei Brenner's like, I hope he consider, I want to be friends with this guy. He's awesome to hang around. And
so witty.
I was almost like, if you're running a martial arts school and you're wondering, do I have to get a bunch of paid in fulls? Do I have to do a contract, or do I have to do this? Or do I have to upgrade that? Or do I have to create this? I really would like you to know that there are super successful schools that are at levels that I had never seen before I went to Philadelphia in action karate, that it reminds me of what it was when my dad and my uncles were running schools back in the 80s. You know what I mean? And obviously it's a modern twist, but like solid martial arts, traditional environment, families. And that would be, if I were to identify it in layman's terms, the secret sauce of action karate is they are rooted in what martial arts was popular, like what became popular about martial arts. And I think that in pursuit of sports or in pursuit of money or in pursuit of this or that, like people have abandoned just like the fundamentals. And that was my huge takeaway from action karate is I was like, thank goodness. Like that, I didn't expect it. I thought it was like some like gimmick or some, it was just, you get rid of the gimmicks and you just teach good martial arts and you try to charge close to what you're worth. So thank you for allowing me to come by, sir. And I'd be happy.
I was sad when you guys left. I had so much fun activity while you guys were there. Like every day I had like something to do. And then as soon as you guys left, I was like, oh, I have nothing to do again. And now my wife is away. My wife and daughter are in China. I wish you guys could come back and hang out with me. That'd be great.
Oh, you didn't go with them?
I did not go with them. They stay for a month.
Wow.
Wow.
And
Does she have family there? Is that?
Of course. Yeah, and that's all she pretty much does is hang out. And her parents come back with her and they'll stay here for a few months. But her grandmom is there and her cousins. They got there yesterday and they already had like the first family dinner with a bunch of people. And no one speaks English but her. So I'm like, when I'm there, I'm a little bit on edge, I think. But I think it also causes her anxiety because unless she's standing next to me, there's nothing I can really do. She puts stuff in my cell phone. They have a translator I use, but like I really need her to be in my hand pretty much the whole time, like going places. They don't even accept U.S. credit cards in the places that I'm sure Beijing probably does, but in where her family lives, it's a big city, but there's no U.S. credit cards. I have to use WeChat is what they use is for their communicate. It's their all social media and it pays for everything. I wind up logging and I can't even log in. I have to use her dad's login. I'm paying for everything with her dad's credit card pretty much.
For our audience, WeChat is like WhatsApp with Venmo in one. So you can communicate and use payment off of
it's
that.
Everything. It's amazing. Yeah.
How cool is that from your in-laws? They're Chinese and then you're American and you have this martial arts empire over here. You know what I mean? How cool is that?
Yeah, her dad is, I say that, I hope everybody hears this as a joke that I'm making. Her dad looks exactly like a Chinese monk, like perfectly. And he never does it, but I always want him to walk around our schools with like his arms crossed and shake his head no. Like not very good, not very good. And then, you guys got to practice. You saw what he said. He's our grandmaster.
One last question, for me at least I have. You mentioned in the beginning, the senior belts don't go as many tournaments as the newer belts. Why is that?
I think they grow out of it a little bit. I think they go to a couple tournaments, they get their medals, they get their trophies, they earn it. And then I think not their thing anymore. They'll go it's definitely less, but some of them do demo team because the demo team is usually the more advanced kids. So they go and they do that. But our biggest divisions are definitely the younger belts, younger belts. And I think as they age out of it, I just think they did it. They checked it out. They thought it was cool. They do a few. And don't get me wrong, those divisions are still big divisions, but it's less than the other divisions.
Some of them might volunteer and help run the event.
Oh, they do. Yeah, we have it. Yeah, so we need. I don't want to use the word need. We have 3 judges in every ring, but we usually have 5 to 9 assigned to each ring. And then whoever the ring captain is, it's their job to figure out, Mr. Hung's daughter is competing at 1:00. So he doesn't want to judge during 1 to 2 because he wants to go watch his daughter. So Master Chung, you're going to fill in for that time. So make sure you're here then because you're going to go watch your son at 10 a.m. The head judge kind of when they first huddle up at the judge, if the tournament starts at 8:30, we have a judges meeting at 7:45. And then you have a few minutes to go get your ring set up. The rings are already pre-set up, right? All the ring assignments are sitting on a chair. There's a water bottle for every judge. There's just a little snack bag for every judge. And then they go sit down, but then they kind of go through their stuff and they'll arrange their own schedules. There's medals and trophies at every division sitting there waiting. They don't have to go run and get it or anything. So they can award it and then make big clapping.
I think that's a better opportunity mobility as somebody that has like teenage boys in high school and we're doing college tours now. Today I'm going to take them to Duke. And the concept is my boys won nationals when they were young, when they were like 8, 9 years old. And then I was like, you want to do that again? You want to go to a bigger circuit? They're like, I'm good. I was like, perfect. You know what I mean? And most masters, they want their kids to go to the Olympics or at least make national team or do something bigger. But I want my kids to learn how to run a tournament, how to run a ring, because I think the upward mobility in life is leadership. It's not technical ability. It's also learning to manage.
Without a doubt.
It's learning to be an entrepreneur. And I think what you're providing for your black belts is actually, it could have been an accident, but it is fundamentally better for their success pursuit in life, because they're going to learn how to run an organization like Action Karate. And again, I just cannot say enough about your academy. It is 36
it means a lot. Thank
locations,
you.
but one academy, because even though you have thousands and thousands of students and hundreds of staff and black belts and partners, you have such a great organization. It is truly one mission. And that's something that it's very inspiring, sir.
Well, thank you so much. That means a lot coming from someone who's been in it for generations.
This just proves to our audience that a guest like Sensei Solomon is confirmed by secretly Master Tony wanted to go over there and make sure he wanted to visualize confirmation that you walk the walk
Legit.
and not just talk the talk. Yes.
Legit as they come.
That's
Super
and for our
humble.
audience.
Well, if it was me, I'd be like, oh, yeah, everybody would know. But yeah, you're there because you put your head down and you've built a great organization.
And not only that, we are going to meet personally.
Oh, that's
Sensei
right.
Solomon.
Yep.
At the ASA Summit, you are
I can't wait.
guest speaker in Las Vegas, October 1st through 3rd, along with Master Tony Chung, Sensei Solomon Brenner. They're going to be there in person. They're going to speak about their topic. I will let you know what the topic is about. Master Tony with staff development, Sensei Solomon about operations of school. We invite all martial arts school owners, instructors, staff to register and attend the event and meet us in Las Vegas. Master Tony, can you speak a little bit on that?
Oh yeah, ASA is just, I've been going to ASA for over 20 years. And it started with a bunch of Grandmasters kids that we had a lot in common. And then we wanted to try to create like professional standards, like having AEDs in all of our schools and doing first aid and background checks and creating an instructor leadership pipeline. And then it became like about certain metrics and keystone KPIs that like help your business become sustainable. So it's a true career path. And then it allowed us to network across platform from Taekwondo to Jiu-Jitsu to karate. And we're all making people better. Nowadays, I think this generation, people need something to progress their social skills, their soft skills. And I think it's such a great, who would have thought that a lot of these Ivy League graduates with advanced degrees, with white collar executive jobs are so worried about being displaced by AI? Who would have thought that the hardworking communities of third world countries would feel like AI is going to eradicate their work value? And it's businesses like ours that are going to not only survive because we're a service business, but it's actually the value we provide to our students when you can learn to speak publicly because you do a tournament when you're a green belt at Action Karate, and then you learn to run a ring at that same tournament as a black belt, that you're going to be able to develop these vocational skills that are just they're not anywhere nowadays. And that's going to help people have what it takes to survive. Because Master Hong, you have kids, Sensei Solomon has kids, I have kids. We worry about our kids, and there's no amount of money or resources we can give them. We want them to have resourcefulness. We want them to have access, but they have to have that grit. Look at his shirt. And that's the other thing I got from Action Karate. They walk the walk. They all believe in what they do. And it starts a conversation. And we need more schools like Action Karate. So if you're a school owner listening to this, come to ASA, because that's what helped me say, I can make a living at this. I can create a career for my staff. And then even to this day, after 20 years, I get to meet people that I've never met before, like Sensei Solomon. It's a whole nother level, and it's very inspiring. So please consider coming.
Can I say something about ASA? Like from my point of view, I think with AI, and I agree with everything you said, that the world needs us more than ever. We're actually going to be in a better position because I'm sure you guys have heard of the third place, right? Like school or work and then home. And then the third place, which is like Starbucks tries to be, that's like kind of the third place you go hang out. We go to a place where everybody's actually working out, sweating together. The best way to connect with somebody is to break bread. The second best way is to work out.
Yes.
Right? You're sweating with them. You're going through a struggle together. And I don't care how many friends you have on Facebook or whatever. there's no substitute for just being with other humans in a building, working together, achieving a goal together. I'm sure you guys notice this, but like even students that aren't students anymore, but if they've been with us for an amount of time, maybe to earn their black belt, the majority of their social circle is filled from the karate school they trained at. And you said people can make a living. Those white collar people that you're discussing that are getting displaced, we have doctors that are partners with us. We have engineers that are partners with us before they were displaced. So the opportunity within your school should be equal to or greater than what they could do anywhere else. And not saying that those other jobs don't make the world a better place. I think we very tangibly and very easily see it. Like one of my favorite things about what we do is when I go out places and there's like a parent from the school from 10 years ago and, oh, sir, you look amazing. And she is living in the city now, having her best life. She never would have been able to do that without what she learned with you guys. And we all hear it all the time. Wow. So I can make great money, do something the world needs, and I feel outrageously fulfilled. That's what I think ASA helps with. Like, there's no way anybody on here listening can do it all by themselves. Like you need to get because you're always working you're always working in your business. When you go to ASA, you're working on your business. And you might think if you've never had a real aha moment like that, like where you realize, oh, I should do it this new way at a place like ASA, and I'm not even saying in the seminars, where you really get it at these events is in the hallway, in the elevator, at the pool, when you're at dinner. And if anybody's going, this is probably the last time I'll talk to anybody before this, you need to really you need to show up with a purpose, first of all, not just show up because, oh, I want to go to Vegas. You need to show up with like a purpose. I need to talk to Mr. Chung. I love the way he talks, or Mr. Hung. I got to go talk to them. And this is what I'm trying to accomplish. And secondly, you got to put yourself out there. Like somebody says something good, like during one of your sessions, go find them. Go hunt them down and say, hey, let's go to the lobby and, I don't know, drink some water or some tea or some whatever you like to drink. And I want to know more about this. Like, I think the majority of our success came from working on the business in those kind of ways. And there's no substitute for being at a place with like-minded people. That's the other thing that's people that are not in our industry are always so surprised when they know how much we all share. Because most industries, if they have something, they're not sharing it with anybody. We're like, oh, I have this new retention idea. Who wants to know about it? Oh, we'd all love to do it. Oh, my tuition is this. Here's how we do it. Let me share this with you. Whenever it is, oh, a way to build more schools. Master Chung is teaching like where else do you get that? It's so wonderful. If you're not cut, and by the way, you might think, oh, I listen to Black Belt Banter, good enough. It's definitely not good enough. Like, I mean, mine is of course perfect, but all those other guys, no, I'm only kidding. They're wonderful. But being there in person and not being in your school, you're like listening in I don't know about anybody else, but I listen to podcasts all the time and I'm on webinars all the time. But half the time I'm like checking my text. I'm checking my email. I'm not fully engaged, but I'm at one of those seminars. I can't do that. I'm actively engaged in growing myself, which is really the only way that we can grow our business. So anyway, I'm a big believer in what you guys do. I'm a big fan, and people should make that investment. And if you can't afford it, that's the reason you need to go.
Said Sensei Solomon, Master Tony Chung. A big thank you to Sensei Solomon Brenner and Master Tony Chung for breaking this down. Here's what I want you to take away. Retention isn't something you fix with a speech or a phone call after a student's already gone. It's built into the experience you put on your calendar. An in-house tournament gives your students something to train for, gives parents something to show up for, and gives your team a reason to lead. And it costs you almost nothing but a Saturday.
It doesn't cost you anything. You make money.
You make money. Exactly. You make money doing it.
It's $99 per registration. So you have 50 people, that's $5.
Whether you have 36 schools or one school, an in-house tournament is something we definitely do recommend. ASA Summit is October 1st through 3rd. The registration link is on the show notes below. If you're listening to the podcast or in the YouTube description below, we will see you in the next episode. Bye, everybody.